Hello, everybody. Oh, if you could see the way that started on my end. All right. So this is my first attempt at a video review of a movie. So this could be awkward. I might use my hands a lot and do this. Um, there's been a lot of talk lately about this new movie, Son of God, that came out a couple of weeks ago. And I was going to write a review of the movie the way I normally do, but then I was just thinking, there's like so much going on here that maybe I should just do a video review so you guys can see my face when I talk about, like, the things that I liked or disliked about the film. Hunter Dotson over here. Wave for TV Land, Hunter. Yeah, that's Hunter. Hunter went with me. We, uh, you know, normally I don't really like watching movies that are made with the specific intention of, I guess, movies were like, it's not really, it's about faith, but it's not people, it's not like, people who don't have faith going to see the movie. It's like church groups are going to Chick-fil-A and then they're all wearing their Duck Dynasty shirts and then they're all high-fiving each other as they go into the theater, and then they're sitting there and they're watching their own faith being regurgitated to them in 2 hours and 30 minutes or whatever. So it's not like, so my idea of a movie about faith, um, you don't see too many of them that I think are, that are really good movies. I mean, of course you have to categorize in a sense, because of course if you're saying, well, what makes a good movie? Are you going to judge this movie based on critical standard? Because if you do that, there are very few movies, maybe Passion of the Christ, Ben-Hur, The Ten Commandments. There are very few that hold up on a critical level. Most of them are, very low budget. They're kind of cheesy, but I don't judge them necessarily like that. I do take them for what they are, but even within there, there's some room for critique, I think, especially as a believer myself. Like I said, if I feel like a movie is kind of not really doing anything but preaching to the choir, I don't. But you always hope that maybe just one person needs to hear a specific message, and that one person gets the message. So if they did, great. So while I will probably be doing more of these about non-faith-based movies, there will be some this year because Noah's coming out in a couple of weeks. I'll be all over that. Be sure to let you guys know if it's on the up and up. So, all right, we went to see Son of God. For those of you who don't know, Son of God is produced by Roma Downey and her husband Mark Burnett. Basically, they took scenes from the Bible miniseries that was on the History Channel last year, and they threw in some deleted scenes, and they re-edited it a little bit, added some music by Hans Zimmer, and put that in a blender, and then released this as a 2 hour and 15-minute movie. Okay, so Jesus is played by this pretty talented guy named Diego Morgado. Kind of looks like a Hispanic supermodel, but most representations of Jesus look like a supermodel, so we'll just overlook the fact that there's no way in the 9 realms Jesus looked like that. But going into the movie, a little bit skeptical of whether or not I was going to enjoy it, but I'll let Hunter tell you what his thoughts going in were, and then we'll get into what actually happened in front of the screen. Hunter, tell the good people what you thought going in.
I wasn't expecting too much, like knowing what the Passion of the Christ was. Like with that, from what Mel Gibson did, like going into a movie like that, you already have set expectations of how that this movie was going to go about. I liked the fact that it showed little things before, the crucifixion, that it didn't solely, what is the word I'm looking for?
It didn't just focus on...
It didn't focus on the crucifixion, so I like that. So I had high hopes for it, but those kind of went downhill.
So, okay. The movie, it opens kind of cool. There's like, I guess, scenes, I'm assuming, that were from the miniseries, the Bible. It's kind of talking, it's from John's perspective. So John is saying, oh, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, which is the opening of the Gospel of John, obviously. And it's like he was with Noah, so it's showing clips of the flood, and then it's like he was with Moses, and it's showing Moses leading the children of Israel out of Egypt. So there's a lot of cool visuals, I guess, at the beginning of the movie. And then there's a really cool the shots in the movie that were actually like of scenery, and the landscape and what was supposed to be Israel. I don't know if they actually did shoot on location. They probably did for at least some of it, but that was all beautiful. And really well done. Great production value on a lot of it. It had a higher production value than, say, like a Fireproof or a Courageous or a Chick-fil-A Kirk Cameron funded movie. Like it was a higher echelon than that. Having said that, the movie relied a little bit on melodrama. And what I mean by that is everything Jesus said, he spoke like this. I'm Jesus. La, la, la. It was very like, you know what I'm saying, Hunter? Like, it was very over the top. Like, change the world. Dun, 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 and everything goes in slow motion. That happened like every 5 minutes. Every time a miracle happened, somebody was weeping. Sometimes it was Jesus, which was odd. As a matter of fact, Jesus weeps at like 3 moments that were really random, but then like the one specific section where it's like supposed to be like Jesus wept, he doesn't weep. My face is how I felt about that. Anyways, so it was a little cheesy in parts. I mean, I feel like they did a decent job of portraying the Pharisees and the Sadducees, though they do what all movies do and they lump them together. I feel like they did a decent job with Pilate and with his wife. I was pleased that Roma Downey didn't try to force her way in as Mary, just trying to, I'm glad she didn't try to like subvert the story. Sometimes Mel Gibson was guilty of this because he's Catholic. He let Mary almost in certain scenes gave her all this. I mean, some of it worked, some of it didn't. But Roma Downey kind of stayed out of the way of the narrative in this movie. Okay, so the crucifixion, the whole sequence of him being beaten and everything from the way it was shot to the way it was lit to it looked as if they were trying to shot for shot copy Passion of the Christ in the last 15 to 20 minutes of the movie. That was a little, I mean, they really tried to be like, oh, we can be gross too, because, a lot of people were, I mean, let's be honest. Passion of the Christ was actually a really good film, but let's be honest. Like, after about an hour and a half of watching somebody get beaten relentlessly, it becomes, like, physically hard to stomach. And they kind of tried to, like, give you, like, a greatest hits of all the ways Jesus was beaten, like, really fast. The acting was good at that part, though, so, So, Jesus is crucified. They do that well enough, It's been done 8 billion times. There's really not too many different. You can't do wild, exciting things with the crucifixion. But well, don't tell Martin Scorsese that. He tried and failed horribly. Do not watch The Last Temptation of Christ. No. Children, do watch The Last Temptation of Christ and learn how not to make a movie about Jesus. Anyways,
Just thinking about that.
So, okay. The end was a little cheesy. I mean, they did the resurrection, kind of cheesed some of that up. Totally cheesed the ascension back to heaven up. It was maybe 30 to 40% cheese up to that point, and then it went like full cheese. So, I mean, it was like sharp cheddar by the end. But they did a really weird nod to the Book of Revelation at the end that didn't really work for me. But whatever. As a faith-based movie, not comparing it to any other type of movie, B-. As a film critic, C. It's not that great. I mean, if you, like me and Hunter, believe that Jesus died for your sins on the cross and rose 3 days later, then you're just going to be like basically self-congratulating yourself by watching this movie. I mean, there's no twist ending in which that's not a thing that happened. Like, this movie it's the gospel writ large on a screen. That's it. I mean, that's all it is. There's nothing that unique or different about it. God's a good actor. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. I mean, it's not something that I think that you should go pay to see money to watch. I mean, you could read the Bible. It's more entertaining. Because the movie cut out all the fun parts where Jesus called the Pharisees sons of vipers and all my favorite parts about the apocalypse. But, what'd you think, Hunter?
Pros or cons?
Just whatever you felt. Things you liked, things you didn't like.
I liked the aspect of having a different view of what happened to Christ and certain things he did before proceeding up to his crucifixion. One thing I did not like about the movie is I felt like they tried to jumble up so many miracles and events that there really was no single line.
There was not a chronological narrative at all. It was just kind of like, then he went here and then he did this, and it was kind of like a buffet of miracles, as you were.
Like, I think it was just like if someone went to YouTube and got all the videos from the Bible and spliced them all together.
Yeah,
then was like on
iMovie. Yeah, like if I could have gone to like iMovie and edited this movie together. Yeah. And put too many clips in, by the way, because it was kind of long.
Yeah, that was one thing, and I kind of felt bad about feeling this way, but like a good 2 hours and 15 minutes into the movie, I was wanting him to die just so the movie would be over because it was dragging on.
You hurry up and atone for my sins, Jesus.
It was so long and there was a bunch of not really useless, but there was no point in having some of the scenes in there because, I mean, yes, a lot of people would be like, ooh, I wanted to see this. I wanted to know what this would look like visually. But it really had no importance into...
They kind of did this weird thing where they would change the way... They would change scripture to, try to make it, I don't know, more...
Pop culture.
Understandable? I don't know, there were just weird things. Instead of let he who is without sin cast the first stone, instead of saying something like whichever one of you is without sin cast the first stone, he goes he acts like he's gonna hit the woman, and then he's like, Scanton, I will give my stone to the first one among you who can say he's never sinned. Scanton. And I'm like, okay. And by the way, how exactly did they catch her in the act of adultery? Were they waiting in line at the broth? Never mind, kids. We're not going down that way. Anyways.
One thing that was very upsetting, and Jake and I laughed about this many times, was the fact that half of the filler scenes look just like they just spliced it from the Assassin's Creed game.
Anytime you see Jerusalem, it's legit, and it's not even where the graphics got better in 2, 3, and whatever. It's literally cutscenes from the first Assassin's Creed game. That's all it is.
Was horrible.
They literally just went to YouTube and found cutscenes from. I swear you feel like you're Altair riding on the horse. Literally, that is what's going on when you see what's supposed to be the Temple Mount and the greater, city of Jerusalem. That's legit it.
One thing I noticed about the whole, when Jesus was getting beat, when he kind of looked at the camera, he did it like super modelish, so he was like, "I'm ready to condole for your sins."
Okay, we're not being sacrilegious. There were literally moments in this movie where Jesus is dying or getting beaten, and it goes, vroom, vroom, and it goes in slow motion, and then he's like, "Have you accepted me as your Lord and Savior yet?" Literally, that's what was going on in the movie, and I was like, pretty sure if I'm watching this movie, I have, because I don't see anybody else watching this.
I don't even remember this in the movie. Did he even tell the thief that he was going to be with him in paradise?
Yeah, he told the thief he would be with him in paradise, so, you know. But we're gonna.
I would have to, if I had to give it a rating, like by stars, like I would have to say as a story.
I'll be right back, everyone.
As a story, I would say it would be, I'd say a 3 out of 5 as a story. Looking at what Christ did and the many things he accomplished and the miracles he's done, and the ultimate message it's giving. Now, as a film, this is 2 out of 5 stars for me, because I'm not saying that film was horrible, but it was horrible. There were too many scenes, like there was no, what is that word you said? Chronological, like the chronological order of which the movie played out, it was jumbled together and it dragged on for like ever, and it was. Oh, one thing I also loved, and I thought this was kind of funny, when Jesus found out when Judas found Judas was going to betray him and all the stuff, and about when he was going to die, it literally they portrayed it as if he had he didn't know.
They took the route that Jesus didn't know what was going to happen, and then he gets this Lost-esque sync up moment where it's like one of you is going to betray me, and I'm like. This was me. I'm like,
yeah.
Pretty sure that's not how that happened, but okay.
And it was like one of my favorite moments is when he's in what is the forest called?
The Garden of Gethsemane.
Garden of Gethsemane. He's sitting there and he's literally on his knees right here, and he goes like this. I swear to God, this is exactly he goes. And Judas walks up, and then when he kisses him, he's like he didn't know what was happening at the time.
And he didn't even ask the most important question of the film, which is, Judas, you gonna betray the Son of Man with a kiss? You suspect, but okay.
But it was...
dear.
I had high hopes for it. I was like, I can't wait to see this. The Bible was good. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna get in here. First 30 minutes was like, okay, I understand this. About the 1 hour mark, you're like, oh, okay. Then that 1 hour 30 minute mark hits you. You're like, I love you, Jesus, but can you hurry up? Can you kind of die?
It's feeling like church at that point. Can y'all hurry up? We got to beat the Methodists to the restaurant.
And by the time it gets to 2:15, you see him on the cross, and you're like, finally.
At last. The plan of salvation will finally happen so I can leave this movie.
One thing that was kind of funny was the whole earthquake thing. Didn't the earthquake happen when he died, not before?
No, actually, I think it did happen slightly before. I think that the earthquake happened, the veil of the temple was torn, then he cried out with a loud voice. Could be wrong. I don't read my sword every day like I should.
Yeah.
But I'm sure somebody will jump in on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so go see Son of God. But bring somebody with you who might need to hear the message. Because you've already heard the message. Don't just high-five yourself for being a Christian. I was patting myself. Wow. Don't high-five yourself for being a Christian. Because me and Hunter just left like Jesus and fist bumped. And I was like, yeah, but I don't feel like that was what they were going for. So we'll see you silly mooses later. we are going to play some video games and watch some shoot 'em up movies, and go see the movie. We will see you guys the next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye now.